So clearly the means for better student control are in need. So many behavioral psychologists state that these things exist in behavioral psychology, but that they're just not being systematically used in schools. These things being setting rules, giving praise, ignoring, contingency contracting, earning and losing points, point systems, privileges, times outs, contingency plans, or a combination of any of these would work. Behavioral psychology focuses on the observable events that come before, during, and after a given behavior. The strength derived from working with observable behaviors are that first, they really can only be jointly observed by two or more people, and thus a consensus as to what is lacking and what is needed in the way of a behavior can be quickly decided upon. Second, they can be measured quantitatively, like a number of responses per hour. And lastly, they can be explicitly taught through highly programmed training techniques. Like the concreteness of an observable behavior has often been the major reason why behavioral methods have been used so often, and the behaviorists offer specific and concrete solutions to behavioral problems. Methods, which behaviorists often advocate and which have been proven to be powerful tools in changing behavior, have been outlined, and they show in the form of some rules. That first, the reward needs to be immediate, right after an action. Second, small approximations toward the goal should be expected and rewarded. Be frequent, and it needs to come in small amounts. Performance needs to be rewarded right after it occurs. Exact behavior to be rewarded needs to be clear with great clarity. Rewards is more powerful than giving punishment. Rewards and punishment as needed need to be given out systematically. There is and needs to be a place for the powerful technology of behavioral management with some children at highly selective points in their growth toward maturity. But there are concerns with behavioral management that we need to face. It is the explicit assumption of many behavioral management that concrete rewards and punishments will be needed to either sustain or depress certain behaviors. Quite obviously, if a person does something for his own good reasons and the change of action agrees with the desire of those people that are in their lives, there is no reason for any management of his behavior. When this is not the case, however, there must be, in the behavioral view, a reason artificially provided for the stopping and starting. The adult has to make an "if you do this, I will do that" deal with the child. True, to get a child started in a line of action, this tactic is sometimes necessary. But if we become so sufficiently satisfied with the desired action that we tend to ignore the reasons for the action, we have gotten rid of the entire context. We have failed to help the child see better reasons for acting. Another area of concern is the extrinsic rewarding of actions. We need to realize that they're already being rewarded by an intrinsic interest or joy. Sometimes this has already been well established, and by adding some kinds of superfluous rewards, we are distracting our children from the ability to develop those wonderful intrinsic motivation. Also, the less spontaneous the behavior, the less of a basis the teacher to assume direct responsibility for it. So the serious teacher who applies behavioral management tries to draw the child under the influence of his or her reward system, and thus unwittingly depresses the performance. Not only that, it sets up a mindset for both the teacher and the student. This teacher then tries to control almost everything that happens in the classroom, and the student no longer learns that learning is beneficial for its own reason, but instead is looking for some outward reward. So bouncing, getting out of their seats, not fulfilling or finishing their work, a complete lack of interest, maybe even yelling. These are actually all attributes of motivation, and motivation is a plague and disturbing for parents, teachers, and even administrators, both in the home and the classroom. So the video you just watched is on how to motivate children, and it comes from a class that's available on udemy.com. In this course, there are a lot of handouts given, such as a list of ideas for individual motivation and group motivation, an internal needs model that includes the behaviors and solutions, a motivational planner, as well as a self-esteem assessment. You can find a link to access a limited number of coupons for this course in the description of this video.